Welcome back to the Relationships Made Simple podcast for men with me, Bryce Bauer. I'm just going to go off the cuff today, no notes. There's something that I've been paying more attention to recently that I think a lot of you are going to relate with, and that is the power that our words have in relationship. When we feel like our partner really sees us and appreciates us, that can be the best feeling on earth because we care about how we're showing up. And there's so much at stake in this relationship. And on the other hand, if we are deprived of that, or we get the opposite, criticism, blame, judgment, projection, that sucks. There's nothing worse, really. We can usually get over what other people say about us if we try. I mean, we don't have to see them again or interact with them. I guess that may not be true if this is a work relationship. You might have to see them again and hear from them, especially like a boss, but you can at least put that in the context of this being a work relationship. You might not need love and care from your coworkers and boss, but you do need it from your romantic partner because that might be the only place where you're going to get it. So where am I going with this? My point is that we often underappreciate how sensitive we are in our relationship. And this goes for how we view our partners too. They are going to be ultra sensitive to everything we say and do. So when couples come in to see me or us, our job as professionals is to help them see their sensitivity and why this matters so much before we go into the surface level problem solving. We can't just tell couples to be nicer to each other and everything will work out. Because when those little things happen that set us off, remind us of our parents, or we're going through something big in life, we have to be able to talk about it. That's not to say that being nice, having an intention like that, won't go a long way, but we do need to understand how vulnerable each of us are in this relationship. And it can be crazy making. You've probably had a situation like this before in your life. You get into a fight about literally nothing. It might go something like this. Hey, seems like something's up with you. No, nothing's up with me. What's up with you? Oh, nothing. I was just asking because you seemed irritated. Well, I'm not irritated. I think you're just projecting. Why do you always accuse me of being irritated? I don't, unless you seem irritated. I don't get why you're starting a fight right now. I'm not starting a fight. I don't even know what we're fighting about. And you can just feel that energy rising now. What many people fail to see in that moment, because they were not taught it and their parents didn't model it, is the hypersensitivity to reattuning when we walk into the room. Imagine a little guy in the back of your head, and his job is just to scan and look for threats, even the simplest threats. Is this person trying to control me? Is this person trying to be mean to me? Can I trust sharing what I'm really feeling with this person right now? And this little guy in your brain, when he even gets a whiff of threat, it could be totally imagined. He's going to hit the button. Careful. Pull back. You might need to defend yourself. And then your body tightens up, preparing for the threat. And the irony is that sometimes when our partners sense that something's up with us, even if we don't think there's something up with us, that question alone can magnify whatever's already there. When I say already there, I mean you may or may not be irritated, frustrated, anxious in that moment. But if there's something even deeper inside, it can pull that up to the surface. And so it can seem like there wasn't a problem until you were asked about your mood. Thus, many men get into this weird back and forth where they literally think, on good evidence, that their partner asking them how they feel created a feeling that wasn't there, a negative feeling. And I can tell you one move I've made that has changed the course of these type of conversations, and that is to really check in with myself, to trust that Jenny is picking up on something that I might not be aware of. It's true. It might be a misfire on her end. It might be all about her. Sometimes it is. But I know better now. If I don't stop and go a little bit deeper into whatever is running around in the background, we're not going to connect. And what's really cool about doing this is that I learned to understand myself better. I know that I'm sensitive. I don't want to admit it sometimes, but I am. And I can be having multiple experiences at the same time and at different levels. I can be really focused on the surface and anxious underneath. I can be frustrated on the surface and scared underneath. And because Jenny can't read my mind, she can only pick up on little cues and what we might call the energetic field. It's my job, if I want to be understood more and connect with her, to go into those deeper layers. So I'll give you a very real example. This probably comes up every other day. Jenny and I will see each other in the kitchen and she'll say, "How are you doing?" On the surface, usually I'm good, and I'll tell her what I'm working on. And then if she asks me, "How's that feeling to be working on that?" That's when I'll take it a little bit deeper. "Well, I'm feeling a little bit nervous to record this podcast, or I'm feeling scared that this idea I have won't work out." And boom, usually I can feel that connection to her and myself happen. I'm just speaking truth, as much truth as I know. Now, it's really rare that Jenny will come in with an accusatory tone. I know a lot of you guys probably get this. This happened earlier on in our relationship before I got more proficient at making this move and regulating myself throughout the day. But this becomes especially important if you're noticing energy on their side, because here's what's happening. There's probably some level of fear on their end. If you seem prickly on edge, they're pulling from all this history that they have with you, even situations that didn't involve them. How does he handle his anger? Well, he might blow up or shut down or both. He might get passive aggressive, pull me into some stupid debate. So your partner's trying to feel you out. How available is he? And their guard might be immediately up. That's why it comes across as accusatory. And they might have their own stuff on their end to work through, their past relationships with men in their life. I'm not discounting that. But if you want to help her nervous system, you have to work with it. Soften your tone, body language, and actually check in with yourself. Get vulnerable. This usually moves things in the right direction. Blaming her for asking a question is going to totally throw you off track. And if you're one of those rare cases where she seems to have no ability to empathize with you when you get vulnerable, and you really are behaving thoughtfully in the relationship, well, then, yeah, obviously you need to get some help to figure that out. Has this always been the case? What changed? Is there some level of grandiosity or narcissism? But in most cases, that's not the issue. The issue is that you two are trying to work out this very sensitive dance. You don't know how to slow it down. You've got built up stories and resentments on both ends, and you haven't been able to lay them out on the table and examine them as a team. I know some of this sounds cliche, but the point I'm trying to drive home here is that we need to appreciate sensitivity in play. Imagine if you came home and you're talking about politics or your work or something with some energy. You're just like a bull in a china shop emotionally. And after a minute or two, you look at your partner and you realize, holy shit, this might be a lot for her right now. And you say that, "Hey, I realize I just shared a lot. There's probably impact on your side. I haven't even asked you about how you're doing. So I just want to slow down for a moment and see if you're doing okay." That's what appreciating sensitivity looks and sounds like. In romantic relationships and in family systems, there's like this weird unspoken agreement that now we don't need boundaries with ourselves and each other because we're family. We'll always be there. We love each other. But this laissez-faire approach to intentionality causes so much pain and frustration. So even though we might not be able to work that out with our parents, our siblings, in-laws, our kids all the time because they're just doing their thing, we want to be really thoughtful and compassionate with how we relate to relaying information and requests to our partner. And we want that in return. In my opinion, a lot of the relationships that I work with need a little bit more kumbaya. Some let's just be a lot more kind and compassionate with each other. And because I'm not all kumbaya, I'm actually naturally a challenger and like to be challenged. I will also challenge you. So many of the things that men get upset about don't fucking matter. We need to grow up. If you don't want to be treated like a child, then don't act like a child. If you don't want your partner to be like your mom, Don't look at them like your mom. We can handle some feedback. We can handle being asked, how are you doing? It seems like something's up with you. We don't have to drop back into our teenage self and just be like, oh, nothing, I'm fine. That is a childish response. Why are you always asking me that? Because maybe you don't give clear answers. You don't share the full truth. You don't drop in. So your partner's asking the same question because they're hoping that at some point you're going to step up and give a real vulnerable answer. And no matter what your partner says or does, as long as it's not physical abuse or extreme verbal abuse, which you definitely need to fix. If it's just everyday stuff, use the energy that you might normally use to defend yourself or run away, to lean in, to practice patience. Ask yourself the question, what am I not seeing here? What am I not getting? And if it's possible, ask your partner too. What is it that I'm not getting about your experience? What is it that you're really wanting from me? Usually, if we're holding space well for them, they will be able to tell us. And my guess as to what they're going to say is the same thing I'm saying to you. If I could distill it into one sentence, it is, honey, I just want you to see that you have an impact on me. What you said, did, didn't say, didn't do, that has had an impact on me. Can you please see that? And I hope that lands for you. This is like the core thing. And from there, we can expand out and look at the things that have to happen in reality, how we share the load of life. That's obviously important too. But if we're trying to rearrange all these tasks and time, money, energy, we don't understand the core. Sometimes it'll feel like we're doing so much, but it's never enough. And that is the mantra of men who are really lost in their relationship. I do so much, but it's never enough. And I'll change hats again and drop into compassion by telling you that so many men, just like you, are not set up for success. And it's really sad. Men are conditioned to be martyrs in some ways, to set their needs aside, to die physically or emotionally for the cause of providing a better life for others. And they are not taught that you matter, your needs matter, your feelings matter, and you deserve to be able to share those with someone else and have people in your life that can really support you. Because this is too much to do all on our own. If you don't have a partner that you can do this with, or friends, or maybe it's a little bit lacking in both, you can join the men's group that I run. We meet Wednesday nights. Do your research, find my website. We'd love to have you. And if there's one final message I want to leave you with, it's actually a question. And that is, what are you afraid to look at? When the finger gets pointed to you and you're asked, what's really going on with you? What are you afraid you'll find? That is all I have for you today. And I will see y'all next week.